I was never much of an athlete growing up. I never played organized football, never played organized basketball, only played church league softball, and played very briefly on my junior high golf team. I did compete in speech and debate in high school, but it was not until I discovered sailing that I found a sport that I was pretty good at and could compete respectably. But even before I started competing, I had already learned an important lesson from my parents. Always be a good sport. Hello, I'm Stuart Baskin, pastor of First Presbyterian Church of Tyler, Texas. The virtue of being a good sport is really a metaphor once you get right down to it. The use of the term sport clearly has athletic overtones, even though good sportsmanship applies in many more parts of life than just athletics. It also points to the reason why many of us like to encourage our children to participate in some sort of team sport. There are just so many lessons they learn by competing that they might learn in the classroom, but which they learn better through actual practice on the field. And not only is sportsmanship a metaphor, it actually encompasses a number of virtues. In no particular order, it involves at least these three. First, play by the rules and don't try to get away with cheating. I love both sailing and golf in this respect. Both sports place a high premium on players calling fouls on themselves and taking the prescribed penalty without a referee. Sure, sometimes there are situations where a third party has to step in and decide a controversy, but in golf, we trust each other, for example, not to move the ball to make it easier to play the next shot. And in sailing, I can't tell you how many times I had to impose the 720 rule on myself. The 720 rule is this, that when you make a rules infraction, you immediately do 2 complete 360-degree turns in the boat before continuing the race. Two 360-degree turns, of course, makes a 720-degree turn. It takes a lot of time and is really a disadvantage, but we called them on ourselves and did it all the time. Second, be a gracious winner. Don't rub your opponent's nose in your victory. It's perfectly okay to celebrate your victory, but it is bad form to taunt or tease your opponent. One of the things I always liked about playing softball was lining up after the game, up and down one of the baselines, and shaking the hand of every opponent as the two teams walked past each other. Good game, good game. Oh, I'm sure most of the kids didn't really mean it and couldn't wait to get out of there. But the lesson was unmistakable. When you win, you still acknowledge that your opponent played a good game, or at least an honorable game. Third, don't be a sore loser. Games have winners and losers. Winning does not make you a better person or the better person, and losing is no stain on your character. But the person who loses and throws a tantrum does reveal a character defect. Who can forget the antics of professional tennis players like John McEnroe and Ely Nasty Nastasi and Jimmy Connors, all of whom made a virtue of bad sportsmanship when they lost or when on-court calls went against them. I always wanted to say to them, "What's wrong with you, man?" Sadly, they seem to have made this kind of bad sportsmanship seem normal. But it isn't, and it shouldn't be. If you play sports of any kind, you will lose many times. Learning to be gracious in defeat, congratulating the winner, and not throwing a hissy fit are crucial parts of good sportsmanship. And it's not just in sports, it's in life as well. These are just three of several virtues I learned from my parents about sportsmanship and by participating in competitions, both academic and athletic. Good sportsmanship is one of the things that makes the world work as well as it possibly can. And now may God continue to bless you and keep you in all that you do this day and in all the days ahead.